Hello, everybody. This is Sophia Mona Lisa of the Roseville Mystery School and the Golden Ray Center. Today, I'm very excited to bring this presentation to you. It's something that I've never done before. It's a kind of presentation that I've never done before. However, I was inspired by the sacred feminine, whom I relate to as Sophia, divine wisdom, to put this together for you because today is September 14th, 2022. And today, Venus descends into the Inanna underworld. And this is a huge transition for all of humanity. Everybody will be having this experience, whether they are conscious of it or not. And anytime a planet goes into the underworld, we experience a shamanic death and rebirth process. And this particular underworld journey that was initiated today by the sacred feminine will last for approximately 2.5 months until Venus rises out of the Inanna underworld. And that event will take place on December 1st when she rises as evening star. So because this is a shamanic death and rebirth experience that everybody is going to be undergoing, I was inspired to do this presentation because, first of all, if you've never consciously engaged a shamanic death and rebirth, some people experience that as a night of the soul, right? Dark night of the soul. It can be extremely intense. And so if you don't know that this is what's going on, you can feel really out of control. And so the intention behind this is to bring into your awareness the energies that you will be under the influence of over this 2.5 month period. And of course, they'll be evolving as we move through the 2.5 month period. But with Venus descending into the underworld today and looking at the aspects in the sky today, it can give us the flavor, the theme, so to speak, of what's going to be transpiring through this underworld journey. And for me personally, I'm really super excited about it. So I know a lot of this astro speak may not resonate with you, and I've really got it on the screen for my own touch point and references. But basically, there are 3 significant things going on in the sky today that I'd like to talk to you about. And so I am going to bring up the chart for this event, and I will look at each one of these 3 aspects, maybe coming back to this slide as I do that. So I need to put my glasses on so that I can read the screen. And the first thing that we're going to look at is that in this chart, that the ascendant is very closely conjunct Pluto retrograde. And so why is this highly significant? Why do I want to bring this to your attention? And let me just show you here on the next slide where it is and what it looks like. So you can see how really super close, like it's within a degree, very, very close. And so the ascendant here is the beginning of that first house. And so this first house defines how we know ourselves to be, what we know ourselves to be. And so in terms of this Inanna underworld experience, it's really, I mean, it is a surprise to me, and yet it shouldn't be a surprise to me that Pluto, who is the Lord of the underworld, who is the Lord of death and rebirth mysteries, who is the phoenix that rises from the ashes, for his energies to be so closely conjunct the ascendant, it's telling us, yes, this is a shamanic death and rebirth experience. buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Now, what we see here is that Pluto is very close to that Pluto return point that the United States of America has been experiencing all year long. It's already had 2 activations of its Pluto return point. The last and final activation will be at the end of this year. And so it's very close to that return point. And I know that there's like a whole nother layer around this shamanic death and rebirth specific to the United States because of that placement near that Pluto return point. But that's not really the focus of what I'm looking at today, because this is really a global message. And we see that Pluto, you'll notice this little R here, is retrograde, and it's in, this is the glyph for Capricorn. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, anytime a planet's energies are in what we call a retrograde motion, those energies are bringing our attention to our inner realm, bringing it away from the external reality and into our inner realm. And it just so happens that Pluto also represents our soul. And so we know that the children, the babies being born at this particular time with Pluto and Capricorn, are a part of this Capricorn soul tribe that will be masters of sovereignty. These are children coming onto the planet that will not have to reclaim their sovereignty like most people on this planet are having to do. They will be fully grounded in their own divine sovereignty as human beings, and they are bringing that gift as a part of their mission to humanity. Meanwhile, because Pluto is in Capricorn, everybody on the planet, through their solar return, evolutionary expansion paths, are having their own souls evolved by this Capricorn energy, this mastery of being able to stand in our own sovereignty, this ability to resurrect our own sovereignty, take it back, reclaim it from all of those external authority figures, whether they're structures like the government or financial structures or academic structures or religious structures, or if you're just giving your power away to your mom and dad, whoever it is that you have been in this power struggle with, where you have either been giving them your power or you have allowed them to siphon your power off. This whole evolutionary process, as Pluto's been moving through Capricorn, has been giving us the opportunity to seal within our own etheric bodies. Some of you may know of that as your auric field, within your multidimensional body, any of those leaks where the power is seeping out, we're sealing it. We're resurrecting our own sovereignty. And so this tells you that not only is this placement saying, yeah, we're going into the underworld, you're going to have a dark night of the soul. Yeah, this is a shamanic death and rebirth. It's telling you that one of the themes of what the alchemical process of going through and experiencing the shamanic death and rebirth is accomplishing for you is to facilitate and support you in reclaiming that sovereignty, taking back your power. And sometimes, something won't budge. You got to get out the WD-40 or the Windex to get that to finally shift, to finally move. And that's what this journey into the underworld is going to be helping all of us to do in whatever unique ways we need to have that shift happen, whether it's through our mental plane because we've got belief systems that we just can't let go of that are no longer serving our soul's expansion, whether or not it's in our emotional plane because we've got some kind of emotional wounding that we cannot seem to make peace with and heal so that we can evolve more fully into the greatness of who we are and catch up with that leading edge self that we have already become. Or if it's some kind of a physical manifestation. And of course, Capricorn is an earth sign. So all of this filters down from the mental plane into the emotional plane and does show up physically in our bodies and in our external reality. So there's a lot going on with this placement. And I'm just thrilled to death to see this because this shows how much cosmic support we have for this journey and for the intention behind this journey. So the next piece that I want to look to is this second aspect here, where Saturnia is going to be in Aquarius, and she's been in Aquarius since I think the winter solstice of 2019. And she's standing across the sky from Isis and Osiris. So, you know, that's an opposition, looks like a seesaw, right? Remember as a kid being on the seesaw, you would get to that place where you would want to bring the seesaw into balance and let your feet kind of dangle in the air. So that opposition is bringing that seesaw into balance. And then it's making a T-square to the energetic taproot, which I'll go into in a little bit, the North Node, the Moon, and Uranus retrograde. So what does that T-square look like? So we've got the top of the T, that's the seesaw, balanced. And then we've got this angle that is like the stem of the T, coming straight down and pointing to these luminary bodies. So let me show you what that looks like on the chart. And there you go. You've got the T. This is the top of the T, which is that opposition between Saturnia and Osiris and Isis. And then you've got the stem of the T, which is coming down here to the IC, the energetic taproot, the North Node, the Moon, and Uranus retrograde. So to fully understand what's happening in the sky here, we need to not only understand the energies of the luminary bodies being activated and the signs that they're being activated in, but we need to know what is the effect of this T-square? What is that doing for us? So the first place that we want to look, of course, is at the top of the T, from Saturnia in Aquarius over here to Isis and Osiris in Leo. Okay, so this is the effect. That's called an opposition. This is the effect of an opposition. What it does is it takes these energies on either side of the polarity, and it's blending them together, and it's raising the frequency up here to a higher point to manifest something brand new at a higher frequency. So that's the effect of an opposition. Well, now you've got this stem of the T-square coming in here, and we've got a whole new color being added to the mix. And so what happens is all of these energies are coming up, being thrusted up into this dynamic between these polarities, and it's mixing in with those energies. And because we've got these two 90-degree angles, that's why it's called a T-square. The 90-degree angle is a square. We've got two very unique opportunities for breakthrough in consciousness. Well, we know that we're going to be resurrecting ourselves in a brand new embodiment of ourselves, right? Taurus is all about embodiment. And the North Node says, what, it's the evolutionary GPS. This is where humanity is evolving towards. This is where you personally are evolving towards, to be able to embody everything that these energies are blending together to manifest at this higher frequency. Sorry, my nose is tickling me. So let's get a sense of what that is. Well, the first thing, of course, is that we've got Saturnia retrograde in Aquarius. So remember what I said about these retrograde energies. They're pulling you into the inner realm. And Saturnia as a planet is a sovereignty goddess. She's the ruler of Capricorn. And so she's a sovereignty goddess. And the other thing about Saturnia is that everything in the spirit world that shows up here in our physical world comes through her. She's the cosmic gateway. Everything that gets manifested in our reality from that spirit world, from the energies of those outer planets, has to come through her gateway to be birthed onto this planet. So here she is in Aquarius. Aquarius is all about the multi-dimensional self. It's all about these higher realms of consciousness and the collective consciousness of humanity. So something huge is getting ready to be birthed into the collective consciousness of humanity. And we're all contributing to that something new, because we're all involved in terms of what we are each bringing through our own multi-dimensional selves to facilitate what's being birthed, and it's coming right through us. So this is the big piece. The other big piece of this is that whatever this thing is that's coming in through us into the collective consciousness of humanity is going to be very liberating for humanity. So let's look at the other side of this piece. Here we have Isis and Osiris. This is the cosmic Sophia, the cosmic Christ. These are the beloveds that are in perpetual sacred union. You've got Sophia as divine wisdom. You've got Christ as divine will. And when they are in sacred union, the manifestation of their union is the divine love frequency. And so look at how closely aligned they are. Again, less than a degree. And they're in the sign of Leo, the sign of the compassionate heart space. So what's coming through is this divine love frequency of the Sophia Christ consciousness that is coming through the heart space of everybody on the planet. It's coming in from our multidimensional selves, whether you know who Sophia is, whether you know who Christ is, whether you've had a relationship with Sophia, whether you've had a relationship with Christ or not, it's coming through. And speaking of relationships, look at what house it's in. It's in the 7th house of relationship. So what is this birthing? This is birthing a whole new relationship between humanity and the Sophia Christ consciousness. This is huge, absolutely huge. Why is this happening now? Because if you follow my Galactic New Earth Project work, what we found out in August is that through this time period, from the activation of the final gateway in August up until what's known as the resurrection point that I'll talk about soon, all of the dark forces matrices, we have been unplugged from. So I invite you to go back to my Galactic New Earth Project playlist and do the replay of the New Orleans Venus Temple ceremony, because I talk about that unplugging of humanity from the dark force matrices. And because that's happened, because we are unplugged from the dark force matrices, this new relationship between humanity and the Sophia Christ consciousness can show up. And so what is that manifestation that we are birthing through us at this higher frequency? We are all birthing the divine love frequency onto the planet and into the collective consciousness of humanity. So let's look down here at the T-square part. This is the perfect time, the divine timing in humanity's evolution for this to unfold. And what it's going to do is, here comes that IC, that energetic taproot piece of this, is that it's going to ground humanity into not only themselves to be able to embody this new relationship, to not only understand themselves as embodiments of divine love, but it's also going to create a whole new breakthrough in consciousness between the relationship between humanity and Earth herself. As here we have the moon here, the divine mother, Mother Gaia. Earth is our mother. We as the children of Earth. A whole new relationship is going to be established there that's going to create a revolution in terms of how humanity now starts to honor and respect the earth and all of the resources that she has to provide for us and to nurture and nourish us. So this piece is huge. And as I said, this is another one of the overarching themes of what's being alchemized for that, for the end of that underworld journey, when we are being rebirthed brand new through it. So this is a big, big piece. So let's go back and look at that third aspect that I had on my previous slide. So this is a yod. In astrology, a yod is known as the finger of God. And if you've seen the picture, I should have actually put it in here. I'm sorry I didn't, because it's second nature to me. But if you've seen a picture of that creation painting that Michelangelo did in the Sistine Chapel, where, you know, the God figure has got his arm extended and he's pointing out, where he's pointing to, that's the creation of God. It is God's will, so to speak, that this is going to happen. I personally refer to this as the finger of the goddess. But whether you call it the finger of God or the finger of the goddess, it's the same effect, that what I'm pointing to is going to materialize. It's going to manifest. And the forces involved in this yod, which I'm going to show you now, are such that we've got a triangle here. So this part here is called the base, and this part here is called the apex. So all of those energies running together along the base, very similar to like an opposition where they're blending and merging their energies. This time though, because this base is created at what's called a 60-degree angle known as a sextile, this is a very harmonious flow of energy. You don't have near the tension that you do in the opposition that's happening at the top of that T-square. So this is a very harmonious, very supportive flow of energy between these luminary bodies. And what they are doing is they are thrusting their energies up here to the apex. This point here, the apex, is that finger of God, what the finger of God or the finger of goddess is pointing to. And essentially, this configuration is saying, come hell or high water, this is happening. Nothing's going to stop this from manifesting. Nothing's going to interfere with it manifesting. This is up to bat now, and it's going to hit that home run. And I'm not a big sports person, so I apologize for that analogy, but for some reason, that means something to somebody that needed to hear it. So what the first thing I want to point out to you is notice that one of the base points of this yod is the same point that was over here in this T-square. So this is what I call a scaffolding effect. It's like amping up these energies. It's like what Emerald the Chef says, bam, it's kicking it up a notch. And that's what's happening. The Sophia Christ consciousness is totally engaged with this resurrection that's going to happen at the rebirth of point of this shamanic death and rebirth experience. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. And let's even point out the fact that its placement in Leo is a fire sign. So that phoenix is rising from the ashes of everyone who's had a heart center that's been shut down. But everybody on the planet. So even if your heart center has been opened, you're going to experiencing an opening of your heart like you've never experienced before. And so this is why it's important for humanity, because everybody now is going to have this open heart space so that we can start to have relationships with each other, not from ego to ego, but from heart to heart, heart-based relationships, and start having humanity move forward and working together, being led from this heart space, which is the seat of your own inner Christ, your own inner Sophia, which is where your Sophia Christ consciousness communicates to you, inspires you, and guides you. And where that divine love frequency that is the manifestation of their union pours through you. And when you create through love, divine love is a secure channel. It can affect the absolute quantum fabric of yourself, this planet, and our multi-dimensional, multi-universal experience. It's you've got the source code. You've got the source code. Okay, so what's on the other side of this base? We've got the goddess Sekhmet. The goddess Sekhmet is the goddess of divine mercy and compassion. Now, if you get on a wrong side, she's a fire goddess. She can take you out. But in this instance, especially because she's in Libra, which is those balanced energies, she is really providing for humanity her compassion, her mercy. Mercy is critical here because we've not been perfect individuals, have we? We've all done things that we regret, but you may have people in your life that refuse to let you off the hook. And isn't that an interesting analogy? Because in the underworld, right before Inanna has that resurrection point, in the myth, she is dead in the underworld, hanging on the hook, dead, for 3 days before she has her resurrection. So for all of those things that you've ever done in your life that you regret doing, and that the people in your life won't let you off the hook for, or even more importantly, you won't let yourself off the hook for. The goddess Sekhmet is flowing her divine mercy and her divine compassion to all of humanity so that we can all be let off the hook of anything that we regret or are not proud of, and be able to have this phoenix rising from the ashes experience together. And who's standing next to Sekhmet in the sky? Asmodeus. Asmodeus is a daimon. A daimon is not a demon. A daimon is a spirit ally. And the role of Asmodeus as a spirit ally, as a daimon, is to shine the light into any of those dark places within you that you yourself need to show compassion to, need to show forgiveness to, so that you can bring those dark places within you out of separation consciousness and back into the light and into unity consciousness. That's what this Libra energy is about. It's the peacekeeper. It's that diplomat. And so Asmodeus is playing the role of that peacekeeper and diplomat for you to be able to have the space within yourself to bring all of that shadow side of yourself back into the light, and know that it's okay. Be at peace with it, accept it, let it go, and move on. So these are the energies at the base that are thrusting themselves up here to the apex where Neptune is in retrograde, again, pulling us into that inner realm. So what does Neptune do for us? Well, first of all, he's in Pisces, and he's the ruler of Pisces. And so Pisces is that unmanifest realm that people can relate to as the absolute creator, the unified source field, that from which all things are created from. So many people will relate to those energies as God or goddess. However, you relate to that higher power that all things are birthed from. And as the ruler of Pisces, Neptune is your energetic pipeline to that divine realm where you've got that one-on-one connection, that one-on-one communication. You don't have to go through someone else, like many people have been told for 2,000 years that they have to go through someone else to be able to talk to God. No, because the Sophia Christ consciousness is in your heart, because you have an inner Christ and an inner Sophia. You have direct communication with whomever you perceive of as that greater, creative, all-knowing, eternal, infinite, intelligent self. And so what's being manifested through this is everyone coming to understand that we're not only human, we are also divine, and we have a personal, direct connection with our divine self, our soul, that soul that is an extension of the divine source, that soul that is a fractal of the universal hologram. has that divine connection. So this is going to happen, like I said, come hell or high water. It's not stopping. And of course, the dark forces have been big players in convincing humanity that not only are they only human, but that they're sinners too, and have to grovel around and ask for, dog bones to be, pitched their way. No more. And notice that this placement is within the second house. The second house is the house of resources, your tangible resources and your intangible resources. So we've got this whole new relationship with the Sophia Christ consciousness. We've got the goddess Sekhmet in her mercy and compassion teaching us how to be compassionate and merciful with our own selves. And all of that is saying, okay, now that you know that you've got this direct connection to your divine self, your eternal soul, now the resources that eternal soul has available to you can start to show up for you. This is huge. You're going to start to see the manifestation of so much new stuff, for lack of a better word, start to manifest on this planet in terms of abundance, the abundance that is available to humanity because of the resources that are showing up now from spirit onto the planet. Because remember, we've got that T-square up here that's grounding all of these energies, and this is a part of it, especially because we've got this base point here that connects this aspect with this aspect. All of this is being grounded here as well, so that you can embody it and experience it in a very sensual way, right? With your eyes, with your ears, you can feel it, you can taste it, right? This is not imagination. This is the manifestation of what we've been promised. And I'll tell you what's been beautiful is that since September 11th, which was only 3 days ago, I cannot tell you the number of pictures of rainbows that I've been seeing people posting to various social media sites that are showing up where they live. And of course, what does the rainbow represent? It represents that covenant, that promise between the divine and humanity. And now we're going to be seeing the fulfillment of that here on planet Earth. And it's going to show up in your external reality. Now, with this yod, a couple of other things are happening to influence, to support, and to ensure. Again, this is like, no way in hell is this not happening. So the first thing that we see is that Neptune in Pisces is standing across the sky from Yeshua and the sun. Yeshua is the name that I use for Jesus. We know Jesus, we know Yeshua as the embodiment of Christ, the embodiment of Christ consciousness. And what we see here as the sun, the divine Father aspect of Christ standing there with him, also fueling this manifestation. And so what does the opposition do? It blends these energies of Yeshua as the embodiment of Christ, as the Son aspect of Christ, and the Son as the divine Father aspect of Christ. So Son and Father of Christ aspects are merging together with the the all that is, to create something at a higher point. And what are they creating? They're creating a tangible, right? Virgo is an earth sign, a tangible way for humanity to know that it has that divine connection, that divine communication with all that is, with the source, the great creator, whatever it is that you call him. And of course, because of their placement in Virgo, this connection that's being created on this higher frequency is in service to the sacred feminine, that which I know and refer to as Sophia, the beloved of Christ, divine wisdom. And so here we've got the Magdalene, the embodiment of Sophia, the embodiment of divine wisdom, the daughter aspect of Sophia, sending her energy over here from Sagittarius. This is the energy of the highest truth, you know, shooting that arrow off. How high can it go to bring in this spiritual truth? And notice that she's in the 11th house. She is doing this in service to all of humanity, adding her energy here in an astrological aspect of 90 degrees, that square, so that humanity can experience this breakthrough in consciousness to know, right? Divine wisdom is gnosis, to not know intellectually, to know in your bones, to know without any doubt that you've got that personal, direct phone line to source, to the great creator, to God, goddess, whatever you call that, however you relate to that. And I refer to that personal direct connection as, like, you've probably seen this in some of the old movies, especially the black and whites from the 60s, right? Where the president's in his office and he's got the red phone on his desk and he picks up the red phone and he's got a direct connection to Russia, and he's talking to the premier in Russia, and they're talking directly. I could even see like John F. Kennedy on the phone with, pardon me, my mind's gone blank, who it was that was working with him from Russia to avoid the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? On the phone, direct connection with each other. This is the kind of connection that we have always had available to us, but that we were programmed into believing by the dark forces because they took our power away by making us believe that we did not have this direct connection. And so notice where this is. This is in the 8th house. Eighth house has to do with your power, the way you stand in your power, the way you use and wield your power, the way you give away your power, the way your power is siphoned off from you, and also how you activate your superpower. Your superpowers are your divine gifts. And so this false matrix of convincing humanity that you're either human or divine, but you cannot be human and divine, is being crumbled away. It's being dissolved by the water of Pisces. Because think about this Piscean energy, right? It's as deep and as vast as the ocean. And when the wave comes from the ocean onto the shore, what does it do to the sandcastle? It doesn't knock it over like a sledgehammer with bricks knocking it over. No, it washes it away, it dissolves it. And that's what's happening here. So this is a theme. These are the themes of what we're all going to be experiencing on the planet through this shamanic death and rebirth experience. And so as you are personally getting activated by these energies that I've demonstrated here in this yod and in this T-square and where this Pluto placement is, stuff is going to start to come up. And so allow it. Somehow find a way to make peace with it, right? Those Libran energies, make peace with it. Let it have its way with you so that you can be rebirthed, resurrected at your leading edge self, the most expanded version of who you have evolved into that you can embody on this planet. So these are very exciting times over the next 2.5 months. And as a part of this next 2.5 months, I want you to mark your calendars because 2 other important dates are going to be coming up. About halfway through this Inanna Underworld experience on October 22nd, we're going to be experiencing that resurrection point. And it's marked in the sky by Venus and Sun coming together. And look at where it's showing up. At 29 degrees of Libra. Let me just move back so I can show you on the screen. 29 degrees of Libra is right here. What you need to be aware of is that 29 degrees of any astrological sign is a mastery point. And so Libra is all about conscious, equal partnership. So when we have this resurrection point, we are now going to be resurrected to a place where we have got a conscious, equal partnership with our inner Christ, our inner Sophia. We have now got a conscious, equal partnership with the cosmic Christ and the cosmic Sophia. And because of that, we can now start to have conscious, equal partnerships with each other in humanity. No longer being in situations where one person is being subservient to the others. We all come together on the playing field as equals and as masters, working together from that place of consciousness of the Sophia Christ consciousness that has been birthed into the collective consciousness of humanity through this process. Now, I mentioned earlier my Galactic New Earth project, and if you're not familiar with it, it's been going on since January. We are getting ready to start the second part of this project, and it's going to coincide with this resurrection point. So I encourage you to go to this link on my website, goldenracecenter.com/DNA-activations/ to learn about this. This project is a free project that everyone on the planet can consciously engage with and participate in. So I invite you to join us, and I will put this link in the description box below this video. So there's a lot of information there for you to kind of get caught up on. Don't worry about feeling like you've missed out on anything, because remember, in this 3-dimensional, 3-density Earth experience, there really is no such thing as time. Time is a manifestation of this 3-density Earth, but there is no real time. All there is the eternal now. Everything that's happened in the past, everything that's going to happen in what we call the future is all happening simultaneously right now in the eternal now. And so we've already called you in because we knew that you would show up, that you would hear your heart say yes. and show up to participate in this project. So you haven't missed out on anything, and you can join in at any point. The next date I want you to mark on your calendar is December 1st. That's the date when the sacred feminine as Venus is rising from the Inanna underworld as the evening star. We will see her in the evening sky. That is the signal that this Inanna underworld journey is complete. And so where in the sky is Venus rising as evening star? 20 degrees Sagittarius. Now it's going to have its own chart of what's happening on that day at that time when that transpires. But let's just kind of look back and see, based on what's happening today, where is that 20 degrees of Sagittarius? And it's going to be about right there. I don't know if you can tell. It's about right 5, 10, 50, oh, about right there. About right there. And so you see that it's standing, Venus is going to be standing very close to where the Magdalene is standing today, the embodiment of that Sophia consciousness. And notice that when the sacred feminine rises from the underworld, she is going for that highest spiritual truth, that questing for the highest spiritual manifestation of who she is. And that's going to happen for all of us. We are all reaching for the stars, so to speak, for the highest truths that we can connect with. So it's really exciting to see that on that date, December 1st, she's going to be standing here very close to the Magdalene, the embodiment of Sophia consciousness. But notice something else. Here's that point that comes into play again. She's going to be what's called in trine, 120 degrees trine to where Isis and Osiris are today. A trine is a very harmonious flow of energy. The effect of that energy is like going down to the lazy river, getting on your inner tube, and instead of trying to paddle upstream, right, you just sit in the inner tube, you take a deep breath, you allow yourself to let go and relax, and you let the current of the stream carry you downstream. And so that's the effect that we will be experiencing when Venus shows up here. Yes, Osiris and Isis will have moved on, but these points have been activated. We've focused our attention and our awareness on them. And so we know that this energy is still, because it's all happening in the eternal now, going to be playing its role to allow us to go easily, gracefully, very relaxing down the river as we discover this new embodiment of who we are at this greater leading edge experience of ourself. So that's all I've got for you today. I know it's quite a bit, but it wanted to come through. Normally I would write a blog post about this, but I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to take me forever to get this in writing. And so that's when I received the inspiration to go ahead and do a video about that. So this is my website, goldenraycenter.com. I invite you to go there, check out my work. I do have a YouTube channel. I guess I should have put a YouTube symbol here. It's called the Rose Wheel Mystery School. So I invite you to go to my Rose Wheel Mystery School YouTube channel, subscribe, ring the bell, click the bell so that you'll be notified when I put new content up. When you go to my website, within about 5 seconds of landing there, you should get a pop-up window where you can subscribe to my newsletter. That's especially important if you plan to participate in the Galactic New Earth Project, because all of the communication for how to do that will be coming through that newsletter. So I thank you for spending this time with me. I send my love to you, heart to heart, across this, what do you call this, internet, this virtual reality, but we know we're already connected, heart to heart. So thank you, and I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.